Hello, you spectacular people. So, you decided to do a LASO run. You woke up today and chose suffering. Why? Well, don't worry because I've done the same thing, and if you're watching this video, then it's because you want some tips and tricks to help you through it and nab that pesky Headmaster achievement, which I have. Yes, I know, a bit of a flex, but this shows that I'm qualified to give you these tips that I learned and wish I knew when I started my LASO run. Or LASO run. However you pronounce that. I don't know, there's a reason I'm recording YouTube videos and not teaching an English class. Let's get into it. I'm not going to dance around this. We're starting off with the elephant in the room, the tank gun. Is it good? Yes. Does it have its cons? Also yes. When you pick this up at Outpost Tremonius, you become a literal walking tank, and it's as amazing as it sounds. It kills most things in one shot, and those it doesn't kill, it sends flying into orbit or into a mountain or something and they die from impact damage. It really does make the game easy, or easier since this is LASO. But here are the cons. If you plan on doing many of the fobs and outposts and saving the marines and such, then I don't recommend you use the tank gun. To be more specific, I don't recommend you use it at any point where you have to kill all the enemies in an area to progress or complete an objective. I ran into a problem almost every single time I used the tank during one of these objectives, where even though all the enemies were gone, the objective wouldn't complete or progress. So I had to leave the area, let all the enemies respawn, and then come back to do it all again, and hope that it didn't bug out on me again if I used the tank. Now, why does this happen? My theories are that when the tank launches someone far off without killing them, then they deload. Not despawn, just deload. They go off screen and are stuck in the air in a limbo sort of state until you go that direction far enough to load them back in for them to continue falling or flying, I guess. But sometimes when you go that far, then all the enemies will have respawned, so you still have to redo it all. Either that or the force from the shot pushes them into the ground where you can't get to them, effectively doing the same thing. I did have times where if I circled the area where the objective was, then finally after minutes it would complete and I could continue, but it wasn't something I could rely on. I ended up saving squads of marines 2, 3, 4 times before it actually gave me completion. Not fun. This is probably the only real downside to the tank, other than it making things feel a little too easy and being hard to aim at longer distances, but that can be solved by having a sniper rifle as your secondary, which I highly recommend anyway. But hey, it's still fun to use, and if you do launch someone into the air, then you can pull out a sniper and try and get some cool kills. Oh, and don't forget to jump when you fire it, otherwise it may just explode where you're standing. Good news is, it doesn't do any damage to you. It also has a decently sized window before you can fire it again, so you'll have to get used to that. Now I'm going to talk about equipment, and then I'll go into details about strategies for each level of the game. So, grapple. It's just amazing as always, and with no cooldowns on it from the bandana skull, you can live your Spider Chief dreams to their maximum. It'll also be your best friend when you need to punch somebody. Remember, Black Eye is on, so you can only get shields back by meleeing an enemy, and you can only get checkpoints when you have shield. One thing to note is that the punch you do when you upgrade to First Strike does not count towards getting your shield back. It has to be a plain old boring melee. But the stun the grapple does gives you plenty of time to get that melee in and kill the target. This is crucial in progressing smoothly. Don't be like me and forget about the description of Black Eye and play the game with no shield all the way up to Chaklock, die, and have to redo 2 fobs and outposts, save some marines, and go all the way through the tower again. First Strike and Reach Fall are really good for sending enemies flying and usually killing them. Grapple upgrades are the first thing you want up to the First Strike upgrade. Save Reach Fall for later. Threat Sensor is about the same as when playing on Legendary, but I really enjoyed using the Threat Sensor. It really helps when enemies are hiding behind pillars so you don't get blindsided and one-shot by a brute or something like that. There's really not much to say about it. It's good, use it, upgrade it to Operative, and then stop for a bit. Upgrade your shield core when you like, but I personally waited to make that my last thing, mainly because enemies can strip your shield so easily even with it maxed out. If you want to upgrade this, I recommend only upgrading Threat Sensor once to start out. Drop Wall. If you like it, maybe upgrade it over the Threat Sensor and shields as well, but I never once used it during LASO. I didn't feel it would hold up well with so many grenades and rockets flying at you. Continuous movement is key, and Drop Wall just doesn't let you have that. This one will be personal preference, but I really don't recommend it until the very last thing, especially since you get Thruster so soon after, and that may be the most important ability in the game. Speaking of the Thruster, the one that turns you into Master Chief from the books. It's great. It only has one downside to it, which is that when using the tank gun, you will not move at all and instead get shoved into the ground. You'll be stuck in a permanently crouched state, or maybe even just half your body inside the ground. Either way, your movement speed is dramatically reduced and you can't sprint. You pretty much become a sitting duck, and the Banished seem to be very good at duck hunt. So if you plan to play through with the tank gun, what you need to do is fire the tank, swap weapons, then dash to your heart's content and swap back to the tank to fire it again. Rinse, repeat, victory. I recommend having 9 Spartan cores on you when you pick up Thruster so you can fully upgrade it immediately. And after it's fully upgraded, now is the time to drop the tank gun if you don't want to use it anymore. Just remember, you can't get it back when you drop it. Running around with a sword and dash is really fun. Like I said, it's the first thing you want to fully upgrade, and you want to do it as soon as you get it. Okay, strategy time level 1 through 3 up until you can acquire the tank gun. Grenades. I cannot stress that enough. You have them, an infinite amount of all of them. They will be your best friends and make your life so much easier. Use the dynamo grenades to stun enemies and strip their shields, and then plasmas or spikes to finish them off. You start out with a pistol and an assault rifle. They're okay, but you want to drop one of them for a rocket launcher as soon as you can, and it won't be hard to do because almost all brutes will be carrying them. Once you get your rocket launcher, use it and grenades and things should go rather smoothly. At all points in the game, I recommend leaving one grunt or jackal alive, just so you can punch them for shield after the encounter is over. Use speedrun strats if you want to get through the first and second levels. I used them for the first level, but didn't do anything special in the second. My weapons of choice were usually the rocket and heat wave, but you can trade the heat wave for whatever you prefer. Also, some guns like the heat wave can make the grunt birthday party activate several times before killing them. Remember to double tap as if they were a zombie. These levels are pretty straightforward and linear, so just make your way through them as best you can until you reach Tremonius. I struggled a bit with him. His Hydra kills you quickly and he starts off by pouncing on you, so you pretty much have to do the fight with no shields. One idea is to immediately grapple him and it should stop him from pouncing. Then cancel your grapple, stick him with some grenades, shoot him with your rockets to launch him away from you, hopefully getting some good damage in. I ran after that, focused the 2 jackals first, and then went after him. Aim at his feet to try and launch him up and into walls for extra damage, and make sure you are near something you can hide behind for when he shoots whatever weapon he is using at you. Now we're in the open world. I recommend doing the Banished outposts so you can get the Spartan cores from them, at least the ones on the first 2 islands. After that, you should end up with enough Spartan cores to upgrade everything but the drop wall when you get to the end game. That's if you are picking up the ones in the open world too, which I recommend. My preferred style was doing all the fobs and collecting all the Spartan cores. Now onto the tower and Chaklock. The tower isn't too difficult, at least getting into it isn't. Keep your distance, fire rockets or snipe or whatever you like and you'll be okay. Just remember that jackal snipers are going to be a pain and one of the banes of your existence in this run. They kill super quick. I easily died to them and grunts chunking grenades more than anything else in this run. Take out the Banished, make your way to the grav lift and up into the base. Pick up the threat sensor and put 1 or 2 upgrades on it. It'll make going through this place much faster and make Chaklock much easier to fight. Now once you get to Chaklock, I recommend having a rocket for this fight if you aren't using the tank gun. Place threat sensors on the walls and use the rocket to push him away from you. Grenades of course work well for that too. With the threat sensor upgrades, you should know where he is at all times and can whittle away his health while keeping your distance from that sword. Not too difficult of a fight. Now we're at island number 2, the excavation and conservatory mission. Before doing them, remember to get your Spartan cores and always have 9 of them stocked. Any more than that can be put towards upgrading your shield, grapple, or threat sensor. I do recommend killing Thav Sabarum to get the arcane sentinel beam if you aren't using the tank gun. It absolutely shreds people and will be a good close to mid-range weapon. Aside from that, collect your Spartan cores and head to excavation. You can glitch here if you want to make yourself invincible. I'm not going to explain how in this video, but it is an option. It can definitely help with the Bassus boss fight coming up. Take care of the enemies at the excavation site and let's get into this boss fight, which in my opinion is the hardest boss in the game. Some strategies include piling up fusion coils for a massive burst of damage during the start of the fight, hopefully killing him. If you're lucky with the tank gun, you can launch him into a wall or ceiling hard enough to kill him, but that was difficult for me. I'd say keep your distance, but he doesn't believe in physics and will lunge across the entirety of Zeta Halo just because he can. So be careful of that. I couldn't find a foolproof strategy myself. Trying to maintain a different height level from him may also help keep him from lunging at you. Now make your way through Conservatory and the Spire. Nothing too hard here, take out the enemies the way you see fit and deal with the hunters. The only tip I'll give is to remember that when you're fighting the Adjutant Resolution, you can shoot off the 4 arms he has for damage and to stun him. Now on to Pelican Down Island and Mission. Nothing spectacular here. If you're running with a sniper as your secondary, this will be your first chance to pick up the Flex Fire variant on the mountaintop on the north side of this island. Using this with the tank gun became my loadout for the entire game. The only thing to worry about here are the Spartan Slayers Tavares and Hyperius, and boxes that get stuck in grav lifts that try to stop you from getting into one of the AA guns. When it comes to Tavares and Hyperius, I recommend taking out the one with the scrap cannon first. He has the range. The one in the chopper usually sits back until you get past the Pelican, so if you have ranged weapons like I did, this strategy will probably work well. Otherwise, if you're getting up close and personal, maybe focus the chopper first. Make sure to abuse that dash if you have it fully upgraded. The invisibility will really help out your survivability here and for the rest of the game. Now for the last island of the game with lots of explorability. If you've completed all the outposts up to this point, you shouldn't have to do any on this island. Just collect the Spartan cores and you'll have plenty to fully upgrade everything, maybe the drop wall too, or at least you'll only be a few Spartan cores away from fully upgrading it. With that, you should grab whatever loadout you want for the endgame and start taking care of the missions. Of course, if you really want, you can do everything in the game, but I didn't, so I can't help with strategies for each outpost. Best I can tell you is to keep your distance and watch out for snipers. Now onto the Nexus mission. Nothing too difficult here either, mostly rooms of Banished. If you're playing a close range build, just dash and use your threat sensors and you'll be fine. If you're playing a long range build, do the same thing still, it works. Don't forget your grapple can also stun enemies if you need to punch someone. You'll encounter a room with 2 hunters. Take them out how you see fit, and then you'll get to the point in the game where I think is the hardest area. You'll reach the gondola, and for quite a while from then on you will only see sentinels as your enemies, and they all have shock rifles. Say goodbye to your shields and good luck getting a punch in on them. It can be difficult sometimes. Maybe I'm just bad at the game, but I struggled here even using the tank gun. Probably should have dashed more. Once you get past this, you can enter the command spire. It probably won't be much trouble, but Adjutant Resolution pops up again. Take care of him and his lackeys same as last time and then finish the mission. Next area is actually the one that might be the hardest because of your enemies being primarily sentinels. I don't know which is harder, I just know they both gave me trouble and made me the most tilted in this entire playthrough. Make your way through this and you will be done with them for a little while. Down the road and into the house. You shouldn't struggle much with anything on the road or in the house. The training rooms have a building in the center that you can stand on top of and is a really good vantage point for a longer range build. Also, one has a button that I have no clue what it does. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments down below because it kind of bothers me, but I'm also too lazy to look it up myself. Jega isn't too difficult. Just try not to blow yourself up if you're using rockets since the room is small. Also, threat sensors really help since he wants to be invisible at all times. Eshram is next and can be cheesed pretty easily with explosives, sending him flying into the ceiling and instantly KOing him without having to do any of his mechanics. Otherwise, dash and keep your distance and he won't be too bad until his hammer comes out. The main thing to watch out for at this point is the leap he does just like Bassus. Although the room is much taller, so if you grapple up and keep height on him, you'll probably be okay. Next is the final mission, Silent Auditorium. Not far into the mission will be a cramped room with 2 hunters. Remember to dash for invisibility and mobility, and use the big wall in the room to circle around to try and stay out of their sight until you're ready to attack again. Once those are down, continue through until the final boss fight. The Harbinger herself isn't very difficult, but watch out for the skimmers with their rockets and dynamo grenades, and that one brute chieftain with the hammer. The Harbinger will try to punch you, but as long as you dash, you should be able to stay safe and finish the fight. Congratulations! After that, you've completed the LASO campaign and have nabbed yourself that Headmaster achievement. I hope this video helped you or entertained you at the very least, and if it did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe as it really helps me out and it will help others out too so they can see this video. Thank you once again, you spectacular people, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream if you want to come and chat with me. I'm currently playing through Hades at the time this video is uploaded if you're interested in that. If you have any video ideas you'd like to see, leave them in a comment. See ya! Is she destroying me? What just happened? I just got absolutely destroyed.
Cheers for that, Meg.
No, don't cheers. What was that?